Something absolutely massive just happened in Minnesota politics, and it's about to send shockwaves across the entire country. Their incumbent governor, who's seeking a third term, is at the center of a fraud scandal so shocking that federal prosecutors are calling it the largest pandemic fraud operation in American history. Billions of taxpayer dollars vanished while state officials watched and did nothing. And now, in the wake of this catastrophe, a political outsider tied directly to Donald Trump is about to announce his challenge, and Democrats are absolutely terrified. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you make sense of the madness as the far left desperately tries to stop the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age that you are making happen all over the world. So if you want a front row seat on how you're changing the world in ways you never even imagined, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Happy hands, Tim Walz is in the fight of his political career. A scandal at the heart of Minneapolis has rocked Minnesota politics to the core, and Wacky Walz is at the very center of it. Federal prosecutors have now charged 78 people in what they're calling the largest pandemic fraud scheme in American history. The centerpiece is a nonprofit called Feeding Our Future, which falsely claimed to have served 91 million meals to needy children and receive upwards of $250 million in federal funds. The ringleader, Amy Bach, was convicted in March along with her co-conspirator Salim Saeed, who ran Safari Restaurant and pocketed himself over $16 million. Now, if you don't know, Safari Restaurant has ties to Ilhan Omar. Not only did she do a video on behalf of the restaurant, but apparently she held her victory party there after she was first elected in Congress in 2018. But that's only the beginning. An autism treatment program was built for $14 million through fake invoices and kickback schemes targeting Minneapolis' Somali community. Then there's Minnesota's housing stabilization program designed to help seniors and people with disabilities find homes. When it launched in 2020, officials estimated it would cost around $2 million annually. By last year, it exploded to an astonishing $104 million. Federal agents charged 8 people in September for submitting fake and inflated bills while providing almost no actual services. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer just launched an investigation into Walz's handling of the crisis. The question Republicans are hammering: how did billions disappear while the governor basically did nothing? State auditors found that as early as July of 2019, just months after Walz took office, officials spotted fraud warning signs quite literally everywhere. This past weekend, an X account representing 480 current Minnesota Department of Human Services employees detonated a bombshell that absolutely shattered Walz's denials of having anything to do with this corruption. The message was devastating. Quote, Tim Walz is 100% responsible for this massive fraud in Minnesota. We alerted him early on, hoping for partnership in stopping it. Instead, we got the opposite response. Tim Walz systematically retaliated against whistleblowers through monitoring, threats, and repression. And the account went further, describing a corrupt system where Walz appointed leaders deliberately ignored laws and regulations to bury fraud reports, even threatening the families of these whistleblowers who spoke up. Now, needless to say, in light of this massive fraud scandal, Walz is politically falling apart. I mean, even before the scandal was exposed, he was already quite weak as a two-time incumbent. His approval rating stands in the 40s. He's currently at about 47% approval, but he's at 47% disapproval, representing a net approval of 0, which is the lowest rating in 18 Survey USA polls. Only 42% of voters supported his decision to run for a third term, while 43% preferred a different Democrat candidate. And he was particularly weak. He has particularly weak support among independents. He only gets about 40% support. And he's very, very weak in southern Minnesota, where he barely garners about 24% support. But now we've got a dark horse that's about to enter the race for Minnesota governor. And I'm going to show you precisely why he may indeed be the one to finally oust this incompetently corrupt moron from Minnesota's governor's mansion once and for all. But first, do you know what the new thing is among the ultra wealthy? Do you know where so many of them are putting their money these days? Well, they're moving their funds into limited supply crypto assets that thrive during economic volatility. And so the question is very simple. What are you waiting for? When are you going to bite the bullet and finally get into what many are calling the greatest wealth opportunity in history? Well, if you're ready to take that step, meet your new best friend, Block Trust IRA, a groundbreaking government-approved crypto solution that's redrawing the map for generational wealth protection, letting you invest just like the rich elite. Their Animus AI platform has crushed the market, outperforming Bitcoin by over 250% since 2022, giving you the powerful tools needed to protect your future. Don't let the rich get richer while your savings dwindle away. Head on over to turleytalkscrypto.com and talk to a wealth protection expert. And when you open up an account with them, you'll get a free $2,500 funding bonus to use right away. That's turleytalkscrypto.com to secure your family's future today. The one and only Mike Lindell, a Minnesota native, has officially announced that he is indeed entering the governor's race for the North Star State. He filed the paperwork on December 3rd and brings something no other Republican challenger has: a direct personal relationship with none other than President Donald J. Trump. Not symbolic, personal, the kind that mobilizes millions in donations, energizes the grassroots base, and turns a state race into a national referendum. Now, we have to remember that Trump came within 4 points of winning Minnesota in November. In fact, Minnesota has been pretty consistently voting to the right of New Jersey of late. Unfortunately, Minnesota doesn't track voter registration by party, so we can't see if Republican voter registration has been surging there like in the other 30 states that track voter registration by party. But Minnesota has been trending red of late, and this, of course, is because of Minnesota's populist electorate. Minnesota has a deep, undeniable populist DNA running through its political bloodstream. The state was home to the most successful radical third-party movement in American history, the Farmer Labor Party, which dominated Minnesota politics from 1918 to 1944, controlling the governorship, multiple Senate seats in the state legislature. More recently, Minnesota voters shocked the nation by electing Jesse Ventura. You remember that? A professional wrestler, right, with no political experience. They elected him as governor back in 98 on the Reform Party ticket. So what did he do? He ran on the anti-establishment slogan, "Retaliate," in 98, and he defeated both the Republican and Democrat nominees with nearly 40% of the vote, becoming the only Reform Party candidate ever to win a major statewide office in America. That election wasn't a fluke. It revealed something fundamental about Minnesota voters. When they feel betrayed by the political establishment, when oversight fails, and when solutions from traditional politicians seem hollow, they are willing to look elsewhere. They're willing to take a chance on outsiders. They're willing to disrupt the status quo. And now, 27 years later, Mike Lindell is betting that same populist instinct still runs through Minnesota's veins. Unlike traditional politicians, Lindell doesn't follow the script, obviously. He doesn't soften his tone for donor groups. He speaks with raw conviction about rebuilding oversight, demanding audits, and preventing the next billion-dollar breach. In fact, Lindell may indeed be the perfect candidate to respond to this fraud, precisely because of his unwavering commitment to public audits and accountability in election integrity. Now, of course, it's going to be an uphill battle. Minnesota hasn't elected a Republican governor since Tim Pawlenty left office back in 2011. But financial scandals create deeper incumbent vulnerability than any other issue because they harm everyone. They expose incompetence and they cut across ideological lines. When taxpayers watch billions vanish while their governor shrugs and says Minnesota's generosity attracts criminals, what can I say? They start looking for accountability. Now, Mike is scheduled to formally announce his gubernatorial run tomorrow, and that announcement could reshape Minnesota politics for a generation, because when fraud reaches this scale and leadership responds with such lame excuses instead of action, voters eventually ask themselves, will they accept explanations or will they demand change? Minnesota isn't just choosing a governor in 2026. They're choosing whether accountability still matters. And with Mike Lindell stepping into the arena backed by Trump, that choice just became unavoidable. If you love seeing faith, family, and freedom winning again, you'll love Turley Clips. These are short, uplifting highlights from our show filled with stories of renewal, courage, and hope that prove a new conservative age is rising every single day. Subscribe to Turley Clips today and stay inspired, encouraged, and connected to a movement that's building a brighter future.